Well, let's start our video conference. Well, this topic will give us different points, different reflections, analysis to go deeper in the understanding about our family, our physical family, and the undeniable attachments of probably not all of us, but yes, probably most of us having relation, yes, with our physical family, right? This conference has different goals. One goal is to comprehend. I am not talking about understanding. I'm talking about the comprehension about what family is, right? And those wrong and fake, false concepts that we have about it. Another goal is to see the value that our physical family has in the esoteric work, right? Because it's necessary to understand that a family is necessary, is great to finally achieve our own self-realization. Other goal is to analyze the problems that it origins in the development of the esoteric work. If we don't see the correct, if we don't see it objectively, right? All of us have rights, but also duties inside of our physical families. Another goal is to accept, to consider, to detect different conflicts that origins the attachments, right? This is something very delicate. It's essential to analyze, to reflect on, to finally comprehend it deeply. Well, let's continue saying that all of us, without exceptions, have three different families in our lives. First family is our physical family. Yes. Second family, when we talk about our physical family, we are talking about our parents, about our sons, daughters, kids, aunts, uncles, grandparents, cousins, nephews, nieces, etc., etc. Right? Number two, our psychological family. When we talk about our psychological family, we are talking about our inner world, our mind, our psyche. Here we are talking about the external world in the first type of family, which is the physical one, right? This one is associated, yes, with the external world, with this physical dimension, but this one is intimately associated and related only with our internal, inner world, right? Here we're talking, or we'll be talking about our ego, right? And about the 97% of trapped consciousness inside of each one of the psychological defects that form that called psychological family. Third family, our real family. talking about our real family, we may understand that is the inner world, the inner part of our inner world, right? Since the very beginning of our purification process, inner purification process, it's been told the reality of our divine spark. It is at the same time the 3% of consciousness, already free, that each one of us have inside, carry inside. Each one of these psychological subjective elements has inside 1% of consciousness trapped inside. And that inner trapped consciousness inside is our real family. So with the development of the conference, we'll be understanding, hopefully we'll be understanding more and more and more the relation between each one of these three families. Alright, let's start with the physical family. Well, for sure, all of us, without exception, need a physical body to exist on this earth planet, and if possible, if it's our desire to make the great work. When we talk about the great work, we are talking about the self-realization of the inner being, right? All of us, without exception, need a physical body, at least basically to exist in this earth planet. And if possible, yes, talking about the best of the scenarios, the achieving of the self-realization. But anyway, we need a healthy physical body. Then, due to this reality, all of us as well, without exception, have the right to have 108 human physical bodies. It's a right by law. By divine law, this is a right. Human physical bodies. It's related, associated with the law of return. Return law. That unfortunately is named and known today reincarnation. Reincarnation is when any one of us work consciously with authentic perseverance, discipline, with the three factors of the revolution of the consciousness, to finally achieve the self-realization. The self-realization is the same reincarnation, right? It is not taking and coming back to this earth planet in different human existences, right? Having experiencing in different human physical bodies. Right? So by law, by divine law, we do have the right of having, of existing, of experiencing in 108 human physical bodies. Sometimes we've been experiencing in female physical bodies, but all women without exception have been experiencing in male physical bodies and vice versa with us men. Alright? We men without exception, all of us have had the opportunity, the possibility of being in female physical bodies in previous human existences. Now, due to this reality, the right of having 108 human physical bodies, all of us without exception, and it is something to reflect on, you know. This is something related with the reality of previously in the different rounds that we've been making into the wheel of samsara, we've been having 108 different fathers and 108 different mothers. Something to analyze and to reflect on. What of these? Which of these fathers is the real one? Which of these 108 mothers is the real one? Now, remember that we come back here to this Earth planet, specifically in our physical family, in the seed of our descendants, all of us. We've been experiencing different interactions with the same physical family for centuries and even thousands of years, literally. How do we break that mechanicity? How do we experience in more and different societies, in more and different families, to finally and gradually achieve the self-realization, if that's something from the bottom of our hearts? Well, our current parents gave us our current physical body. That's why we must pay to them this current physical body, the one they gave us in this human existence, in this return. If they give us a physical body, we should pay back them another physical body. Right? Here at the same time, I am trying to affirm the need, and probably, yes, the urgency of reflecting on attachments, affects, sufferings, lower emotions, subjective concepts about our family. If possible, due to this reality, when we come to this Earth planet and we are babies, we need somebody to protect us, right? Because we are absolutely vulnerable. And if possible, sure, we need a mother that help us and protect us until we are enough mature to continue with our own life. We need a mother to protect us, to educate us, to explain to us the different things about life, right? To discipline us, etc., etc., and so on. And if possible, for sure, a father. absolutely vulnerable when we come to this planet. That's why it's necessary, if possible, to be educated by parents, right? To the people that got born in, with the same family, with the same parents, we call them brothers or sisters, right? But let's analyze the reality that we've been existing in different human physical bodies, right? With different mothers and fathers. So, which one of all those brothers and all those sisters that we've been knowing during centuries and even thousands of years are the real ones? Which is the right brother? Which is the correct sister? Probably we've been experiencing with hundreds of different brothers and sisters in our family, in the different several dozens of different physical families in our previous human existences. Remember, we return in the seed of our descendants. We could be our own great grandfather, or even our own great grandmother, for sure. That's a possibility, a huge possibility, a real possibility. So, for the reproduction of the species, to create, to build, to form our own family, we need our own couple. Because we should do our own life. And if we want to achieve our own self-realization and to help our couple, our partner, our couple, to achieve her or his, in the case of the ladies, own realization, self-realization, it's necessary to learn how to practice sexual alchemy. But anyway, it's a need. It's mandatory to get our own couple. Not only for the reproduction of the species, for sure, but also to achieve our own self-realization in the creation and through the creation of the inner bodies, to achieve our own self-realization, our authentic freedom, and also to have real representation in the higher dimensions of the universe, and through that to know the rest of the universe, its dimensions, and its gods in a literal way. Right? Yes, the creation of the inner bodies will be done in the sex. Right? It's necessary to have a stable couple of the opposite sex. If honestly and seriously we want to practice sexual alchemy, it is only possible. It'll be only between a man and a woman, and that's all, right? Due to these previous explanations or details, probably we may see right now the need of creating our own family, our own physical family. Every single authentic master of the White Brotherhood, of the White Lodge, did had his or her own family, physical family, right? Authentic spiritual masters always had their own physical families. Their sons, their daughters, their kids, without exception. That's normal, that's pretty normal. Because all of us came and come to this earth planet, to our societies, worldwide, through sex. Without or with fornication. With or without the spilling of the sexual creative energy. Now, in the case of us men, our wife is what? Our wife is a sister that is helping us to achieve our own self-realization. And in the case of you ladies, what is your husband? Your husband is basically a brother that does the same. A brother that helps you to achieve your self-realization. If we want to learn to make love, that's possible only and basically through love, through make love, through sex. Through suprasex, we learn to make love objectively, literally. So we are collaborating to her and she's collaborating to me to create the inner bodies to achieve, to deserve finally my own self-realization. And in the case of us men, we cooperate, we collaborate women to deserve, to achieve her own self-realization, right? It's just one couple, remember, only one unstable couple, right? What are our kids, for example, if our destiny is having kids? Our kids are brothers and or sisters to which we are going to collaborate, to protect, to educate, to discipline, to help during their lives until they are capable to continue with their own lives. Right? Even, and obviously, this is something about common sense, logic. If we want to achieve our own self-realization, necessarily we should protect and love our kids. It's necessary to have good sense of humor, to play with our kids, to protect them, to educate them, to discipline them. Right? To give them food, a house, clothes, nice and great dialogues, conversations, hugs, to let them feel that they can trust on us. Right? This is a work of love. And a physical family is something great through the secret path. But yes, sure, there are some limits with the physical family. Alright? And this is the thing about attachments. Alright? Let's talk about it. When we talk about physical families, commonly, not always, but yes, commonly, at the same time, also we talk about attachments. Why are we attached to our mother, to our sisters, to our nieces, nephews, etc., etc.? What's the base, what's the origin of attachments? The origin is fear. So I will be always insisting here that it's necessary the different types of analysis, reflections, to seriously comprehend deeply in the different levels of our minds the things about attachments, the different roots of our psychological defects. And yes, definitely, necessarily, when we talk about physical families, we talk about attachments at the same time. The origin of our attachments, basis of our attachments, are in our fears. We are afraid of losing our nieces, mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, etc., etc., etc. And that's true. We came to this planet from the absolute alone. And if seriously we want to deserve and to achieve our own self-realization, we'll go back later alone too. And remember that, let's remember that. If we've had dozens of different fathers and dozens of different mothers, different brothers, sisters, kids, sons, daughters, and so on, what is our real physical family of all those that we've had? In the esoteric path, attachments are an obstacle that don't let us continue with our esoteric work, with our inner work. It's a law of life that no matter what, believe it or not, we are going to lose our current physical family entirely. If they die first, okay. If we die first, okay. That's why it's necessary, it's essential, it's crucial to understand the urgency of preparing ourselves before it happens. The losing of our physical family, of our current physical family, with the inner petition to our Divine Mother, thanks to the detection, with self-observation of our attachments, based on our own fears, to lose our physical family, probably sooner than later we'll comprehend finally that if we want to achieve the authentic freedom, let's cut with our attachments. Internally, probably, why not? We'll receive the order, the orientation of our inner being, of the divine hierarchies, to go to different countries to give this knowledge, for example. And it's been happening. Many times it's been happening. But if we are too attached to our wife, to our kids, to our niece, to our nephew, etc., 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 we won't obey. And obedience is something important for divine hierarchies. Because yes, for sure, I know that this is easy to say and difficult to practice. More difficult to comprehend. But anyway, we'll last. In fact, we are going to lose our current physical family. Without exception, all of us. We've lost dozens and dozens and dozens of physical families previously in our previous human existences. So let's work on our fears, on our attachments, on our affects, for example. Lower emotions, and yes, fears are lower emotions, because this is a law of life. Death is a law of life. Anyway, no matter what. And yes, internally, while we're falling asleep, different applicants, different students of authentic esotericism, many of them have received the internal order of going in mission to different countries to share this knowledge. But if they are too attached to their physical families, they won't obey. And something very important for divine hierarchies is obedience. And if we remember that we are only a bit of a tiny particle in all the solar system, in all this entire galaxy, and that there are thousands of thousands of thousands of galaxies that build, that form all our universe, probably we will understand that our Earth planet is our house. So if we have to go to a different country, for example, only for traveling, for studying, or also for sharing this knowledge to people that is in need of receiving all these esoteric knowledges, teachings. We are just going from a room called New Zealand, for example, or Egypt, or Colombia, or anyone, to a different room of our house, in our same house. What we don't understand it is that all of us, without exception, are brothers. Egyptian people, American people, Canadian people, Muslim people, Jew people, Chinese people, Japanese people, Bolivian people, Peruvian people, all of us, for the divine hierarchy, are a brotherhood. Because our home, our house, is our planet. Visas, passports, different languages, different personalities, money, and all these illusions make us believe that we are not brothers and sisters. But yes, we are. Civilizations of other solar systems, not only of this one, our solar system, but from other different solar systems, and for another different galaxies, some other galaxies, they see us as their brothers. But incredibly, we don't see one each other as brothers, as sisters. Due to the existence of ego in our psyches, in our minds, we don't see ourselves, one each other, as brothers, as sisters. And that's true. When we are, for example, in the fifth dimension, consciously, for example, if we achieved an astral travel, immediately we go from the third dimension to the fifth dimension. And when we are right there, consciously, with will, thanks to the practice of astral travel, for example, astral trip, we see right there in that astral world, in the zone of dreams, that we don't have physical family. If someday any one of us achieve consciously our astral world, our astral travel, we'll see for sure that we don't have a specific physical family. Right there into the fifth dimension, we see each other as an entire brotherhood. The illusion of believing that only the physical world, the material world, is the only reality, the true, the real, the eternal, is an obstacle to see ourselves as a brotherhood entirely all around the world. If we delete our inner illusions, our inner psychological defects, we'll be free little by little, grain by grain, and necessarily, gradually, we'll be comprehending more and more, deeper and deeper, the real freedom, the authentic freedom. Attachments are not love. Attachments are only an obstacle to continue with our inner work. When we delete our fears, we release braveness, which is the opposite virtue inside of these type of specific psychological defects. This is weakness. This is a virtue. This is not right. This is objective. This is a part of our own inner being. And we love too much our fears, our attachments. Incredible but true. Specific type of psychological defects are our beloved ones, even when we know that they are only sufferings, but we are too attached to our own ego. And that produces those external attachments to our physical family. Deleting all those attachments based on fears, we'll see our physical family in a nice way, in a different way, in a more relaxed way. Let's continue with the conference, analyzing the second family, psychological family. Which is formed by the thousands and even millions of psychological defects that form, that build our ego. The 7 roots of ego: laziness, greed, gluttony, lust, envy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anger. And the father of the entire ego, of all psychological defects: pride. We've created thousands and probably millions of different subdivisions that come from these 7 psychological defects, these 7 causal defects or capital defects. And we didn't transform the external impressions that as an influence came from the external world. Transformation of impressions are a need in order to delete our ego. It's not right to be lazy, to feel of greed, to suffer of gluttony, to feel lust, to feel envy, to be controlled by anger, to be controlled by pride. It is not right. All of us know it for sure. But incredibly, we create a lot, too many justifications, excuses to continue with our beloved ego. It only creates suffering and suffering and more suffering as never seen before. Fears, anxieties, resentments, which are the different subdivisions that come from these 7 heads. These 7 causal defects, capital defects. Hates, alcoholism, masturbation, fornication, oral sex, anal sex, worries, that continuous thinking from instant to instant in each day of our lives. That's ego. It's necessary to disintegrate our psychological family to integrate our real family. All these psychological defects and their subdivisions that honestly are hundreds, thousands, and even millions of psychological defects, they are our desires, our sufferings, our pleasures, our internal reactions in a negative way. Right? And it's unbelievable probably that we defend our ego in unique ways. We don't want to delete our ego. Even when it is not right, we create a lot of many justifications and excuses to don't delete the ego, including its shape. We want to achieve our authentic freedom, the authentic self-realization. It's mandatory to disintegrate our psychological family, because inside of our psychological family there is trapped, bottled, the 97% of consciousness. That's why it's necessary, it's a need to make the transfer consciously with correct procedures. Through self-observation, we detect the different type of pleasures, desires, lower emotions, worries, negative thoughts, morbosities, perversities, and so on. In order to know ourselves, and immediately that we detect our psychological flaws, ask to your inner, to your divine mother mentally from the bottom of your heart to delete your internal psychological aspects, psychological defects, and you'll feel the change immediately. You'll feel how you release, literally, grain by grain. This is a long life process. Your own wisdom, your own consciousness, which in a 97% is trapped inside of our ego. Right? This is the basic information about psychological family, but there are several conferences of this cycle, of this teaching, where we go deeper to explain better the reality of this psychological family and how this operates, how this controls our life, our destinies, our interactions daily with our relatives, co-workers, classmates, neighbors, etc., and with ourselves. Right? Due to fornication, yes, sexual fornication, we've created our thousands and probably millions of psychological defects that are the subdivisions of these 7 causal defects. The last esoteric work we do in order to achieve the authentic self-realization, the authentic freedom, is to delete one by one the 7 causal defects. Okay, now let's work, let's receive this information about the third family, the real family. We call it real family because eternally, no matter what, literally, no matter what, He'll be with us. No matter what. Our inner being is formed by many parts, different parts. All those parts are unfoldings of our Father. Remember that all of us have the base of our esoteric work, which is the 3% of consciousness, the same divine spark. Right? And if we start talking about the different unfoldings, the different parts of our own inner being, we'll understand it better. Right? God as Father represents our wisdom. And this is the first unfolding of our inner being. Right? Now, God as Mother represents love. And when we talk about love, we are talking about our essence, our sexual creative energy. Believe it or not, our sexual creative energy, our semen, represents our divine mother. So when we fornicate, when we have sexual interaction, sexual intercourse, spilling our sexual creative energy, ejaculating, we are losing our love. That's why we don't see love in the correct way worldwide, in the societies. We see the opposite: hate, resentments, revenges, hates, etc., etc. Due to the reality that unfortunately we've been spilling our sexual creative energy. We've been taking out our inner divine mother, our soul, literally. But if we learn to respect sex, we'll recover our own wisdom, our love, authentic, real love. Now, the other unfolding of our inner being is God as Son. Right? He is our psychological coach. He is literally the justice inside. He's the desire in each one of us, the temptation inside of each one of us. If we want to practice justice, it's necessary to delete our ego, because he is the same ego inside of each one of us, the psychological coach. This part, our inner son, which is a part of our inner being, gives us wisdom and gives us love if we firstly delete gradually, one by one, little by little, each one of our psychological defects. Right? And these first three forces, they are going to unfold themselves in other three different primary forces that are Atman, Buddhi, Manas. Atman is our intimate, our inner warrior. Buddhi is our divine soul. And Manas is our human soul. It's necessary to clarify here that we only create and we only possess, we only have our real Manas if we create through the psychological death. Psychological death, it means the elimination of the ego, and through sexual alchemy, transmutation of sexual energies to create the 5 inner bodies. When we finish that 5th body, we'll have our own human soul. If firstly we don't do it, we don't have authentic human soul. What we believe now, what we have, only now, is the divine spark. And we activate this divine spark when we self-observe our inner world. If we don't practice self-observation, we are not aware of our own inner being. We are slept. We are slept when we don't self-observe ourselves, our inner reactions, our inner world. Right? There are more different, yes, there are more parts of our inner being. For example, the Christ. The Christ is not only Master Jesus. All of us, without exception, have an inner part of our inner being which is called the Christ. But to finally experience this part of our inner being, is necessary to first create our human soul, because this is another different unfolding of our own inner being, which is part at the same time of our real family. Right? In different conferences we explain it more. Right? At least for now we are just describing our eternal and real family. The different parts that build, that form our eternal, real family. Different parts, for example, the 24 elder bakers. They have a specific wisdom related and associated with the zodiac, the signs of the zodiac. The elemental intercessor, for example. That help us to be protected at night while we fall asleep, for example. In conference number 7, the conjurations, we work with our own elemental intercessor in a specific conjuration to be protected by him, by our own elemental intercessor, working with our own inner father. Yeah, for sure, if you want to check, to review, to analyze, to study conference number 7, the conjurations, the Belialine, Magic Circle, Jupiter, Pentalpha, that's the title of that conference, you'll find the information about the elemental intercessor, which is another part of our own inner being. Right? And there are more and more different parts. Right? Of our own inner being. So if we start the practice of the three factors of the revolution of the consciousness, elimination of the ego, sexual alchemy, and spreading, sharing all this information for free, without exception, to the entire mankind, will start our own inner path, our own self-realization, our own purification daily. And we'll be integrating gradually all these parts that form our own inner being. And we'll experience the reality of our real family. The reality of our own inner being. That's why it's necessary to practice all these teachings, to experience, to live, to feel that the most important thing here is practice, because only practice makes perfect. You may read as many books about esotericism as you can, as you want, but not for reading, not by reading, you are going to become yourself in an authentic spiritual master. You'll be only an intellectual, that's all. But you won't experience these realities inside of you. The only possibility, the only way to know if this is true is by practicing. There is a nice, amazing statement, an ancient statement that says as follows: Man, know yourself, and you shall know the universe and its gods. Only through the knowledge of oneself will incarnate our real family. Because nowadays, currently, as we are, our real family is trapped inside of our psychological family. Disintegrating our psychological family will be integrating gradually our real family. This is something gradual. It takes an entire human existence working with discipline, perseverance, infinite patience to see the results, to see the different inner transformations that an authentic practitioner experiences himself, thanks to his own merits and efforts. Alright? When we integrate our own inner being, we'll achieve something called the sacred individuality. The sacred individuality is a possibility for a person that works in the three different factors of the revolution of the consciousness. Because at the end, all the different released divine sparks, that 97% of trapped consciousness inside of our psychological family, will be a unity, an authentic unity. Nowadays we are multiplicity of thousands of different people, psychological defects, governing and controlling our emotions, thoughts, sexual desires, instincts, and so on. Disintegrating, eliminating that multiplicity gradually will achieve our own sacred individuality. Well, thank you very much for attending this video conference. And if there is any question or any doubt about it, please let me know, and shortly I will